Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review. I'm here today to talk to you about, does relationships drama ruin the arrowverse? So this is something I never took in consideration whenever I talked about the things that pisses me off about the arrowverse. However, now that see, this is what happened. I was watching this one video on YouTube from this one cosplayer and YouTuber, and she talked about how Supergirl failed the fans by in the second season because she likes the first season, but she doesn't like the second season because the second season focused way too much on relationship dramas and stuff, the whole Monel and Kara thing. And then so I started stopping. I thought about that, and I do remember the second season I didn't like that much. Um, and it was part because I remember I liked the Jimmy Carr romance thing in the first season because that's from the comic books, and I just want to see those two get together. And so then I remember when it got into the second season, by that time her and Jimmy was over with, and then I'm just kind of the whole her and Monel thing is kind of just kind of boring, and it's weird because then I started thinking about other Arrowverse shows, and I started thinking about their relationship dramas, and I'm just the Arrowverse is very heavily invested in relationship drama, in relationships, just period. And of course, relationships are in every television series, but they're handled better to where they're not the main focus of an actual season. Because when you think about an Arrowverse show, their seasons are always focused on whatever that big bad villain is and what they're gonna do. That's the A plot of the season, and then the B plot is whatever's going on in the relationship. And then I started to think, a lot of the problems that I do have with the Arrowverse that I stated in my older video, go watch that. A lot of that is contributed to relationship drama and stuff. And I'm just kind of she is on to something. And I never thought about that until now. And then I remember I used to always read comments on people talking about oh, this relationship sucks on Arrowverse and this one sucks and blah 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 blah. And I'm just holy crap. That could be the key to one of the things. Not it's not the only thing, but it's one of the things that makes the Arrowverse the reason what it is and why so many people are tuning out and everything. Because what is it I'm trying to think of a show where they have a relationship. Because think of there, and I remember. Okay, so Daredevil, that's a prime good example. In the first season, he was with Nurse Chapel, whatever her name was. And even though they had a relationship, flirtation type thing going that didn't go nowhere, it still wasn't the focus of the entire season. The actual plot of the villain was. And then in the second season, him and Elektra tried to get together or rekindle what they had. And even though they show a bunch of stuff that happened in that relationship in flashbacks, and it was prominent, it still didn't weigh down the season. Then in the third season, him and Karen, it wasn't the main focus of the entire series or season. And then I think of myself when it comes to the Arrowverse, a lot of their relationship way down the show. But think about the relationships in the Arrowverse. Okay, I've already said before, these aren't the only things that are a problem, but relationships are a problem in the Arrowverse nonetheless. Take The Flash season 1. That relationship with Iris and Thawne was okay. Barry was jealous and everything. That was a nice little thing and stuff. And it didn't really weigh down too much of the season because they were trying to figure out how he got these powers, who the Reverse Flash is, how does it tie in to his past of his mom being murdered and stuff like that by him. That was the main focus of that season. And he tried to date other people in that season. And once again, those other people he tried to date, they didn't take up much screen time because they was only in there for an episode or two. Then we get into the second season. Dawn is now dead. And the moment Iris finds out Barry is the Flash, that's when things went downhill. Because the thing about in comic books is that you're supposed to keep your identity a secret, especially from your loved ones. And they don't find out until many decades later. And so when they had her find out very quickly, because she was obsessed to find out who he is and stuff, and he was all in love with her and he wanted to be with her, that's when things started to tank. One, his identity was exposed. Two, she started becoming part of Team Flash. And I have a problem with all these love interests and everything being part of Team Flash or a team whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? Then, somewhere down the line, I don't remember what season this was, but it was that one season where Iris was supposed to die. And that was the whole like thing of that entire season. I think, God, I can't remember. Was it Saboteur or something like that? But basically, he was gonna kill Iris and everything. And so everybody's like, "Oh my God, Iris is gonna die!" And no matter what the Flash could do, it was preordained that she was gonna die. And he did everything in his entire power that entire season to prevent her death. And that took up the entire focus of the season. That and Sabotage like identity and stuff like that. If it was that season. I think it was season 3. And so then she does die. And it's like, oh my God, a big dramatic moment. It paid off. You know what I'm saying? Like the focus of the relationship paid off in that season until you find out it was a ruse. It was one of the Wells that impersonated her so he could take her place so she wouldn't have to die. Now that's great for the actress and everything and great for that character because her and Barry can still be together. But I remember when I used to read in the comment section that pissed a lot of people off because one, they liked that Wells, and two, they felt like now her death had no meaning. It had no stakes. It was all just like a dream type episode, you know what I'm saying? And so I remember people started complaining about that and I started weighing down the show. Then in another season, she got like powers and everything, which was kind of cool. I mean, but that's the one problem that like all these love interests are having. All of a sudden they start getting like powers. It's like not only are they on the team, but now at some point they get powers or a costume. And so then she got like powers, and then next thing you know, she did that whole "We Are the Flash" line, making herself seem like she's that important to the team when really she isn't, because she should just be the love interest and everything. And so when they started focusing more on their romantic stuff, then have you noticed the dialogue started to get like what I used to call foo-foo and everything? I'll get into that a little bit later. And then so then of course their relationship furthered by them having kids in like the future, and then their kids showed up. And a lot of people keep saying, and it's kind of cool because these are characters from like the comics, but now they become like the focus of the show because of the romantic interest of like, you know, what's going on in the show. And then so now people are saying these are some of the worst seasons ever because they're just coming up with whatever and it's not really focusing on Barry and blah blah blah. Other example is Arrow. So like in Arrow season 1, you know, he was with both the Canaries trying to get with them, and it just never worked out. And so at some point in time they brought in Felicity. And I remember hearing all the comments about her. Now I like Felicity personally. I originally liked her because she's smart and she is gorgeous, you know what I'm saying? She has that sexy, nerdy look to her. And I remember it was after that episode where she tried to be more like her mom, like sultry and sexy and everything. That's when they started focusing more on her character. And then next thing you know, she became a love interest to that of Oliver. But then it wasn't so much just a love interest. They started focusing more of the show on her instead of, and they still focused it on Green Arrow, of course, but she was very prominent. She was doing so much. She was running the team. She was doing all the technological stuff. And it was even to the point where they focused more on her than they did of Laurel. And Laurel is literally the Black Canary. And the Black Canary and Green Arrow are supposed to be like a thing. That's how it always is. But for some reason, for the live action shows, whether it's this or Smallville, they never want that to happen. And so they started like pushing Felicity more and more down people's throats, and the relationship between her and Oliver. Now I remember reading the comments. This is when I stopped watching the show, and so I started reading the comments, and people kept talking about how she's ruining the show. And of course, the actress knew that, and it was hurting her and stuff. That's probably why she left the show at some point. Also, the Laurel woman, that actress literally got fired from the show and rehired. There's rumors as to why she was fired and stuff. There's several rumors. One big rumor is because the Felicity character started getting more screen time than her and more storylines, and it made her jealous. And because she was on the show first. And so that's one big rumor that happened. Her and the woman who plays Felicity weren't getting along very well. And so, like, then of course she got rehired and all this other stuff, and they tried to push her more into the show. And so it was kind of like a conflict. So now no longer is it going to be Laurel and Green Lantern. Now it's the marriage of Felicity and Green Arrow. I said Green Lantern before. My bad. There's too many greens. Green Arrow and stuff. And I remember, like, whenever I did pop in to see what Arrow was going on, I remember seeing Felicity front and freaking center and everything. And I'm just like, this is not her show. And then they did the whole love triangle thing between her, Oliver, and whatever the Adam dude name is. And I'm just kind of like, that whole love triangle thing took up a lot of whatever season that was that I watched. And then I remember, then all of a sudden now, not only Felicity in a romantic interest with Oliver, not only is she running the team, I think at one point she even ran his business, I think. And it's kind of like, if that's true, I can't remember if it was. And if so, how did she have the experience to run like a company? It's kind of like the whole Pepper Potts thing from the Iron Man movies. She wasn't like good enough to run like that whole business. Like she was just like the assistant, for crying out loud. And so like when it also became to Felicity, at one point she wore the Atom suit to save like the day and stuff like that. And it's like they always make the love interest like heroes and crap. And then they take it away. And then at some point in the alternate future, once again, here they are being like, you know, the hero in an alternate like future reality. And the love interests are always, sometimes they're even out in the field with the equipment to stop like the bad guys. And it's kind of like they focus too much on their relationship stuff. And I think there was one time where it was like a Barry, Felicity, and Oliver love triangle, I think at one point in time. And because they focused just way too much on relationships. Now, I stopped watching Supergirl after the second season, but every time I kept going online to read more stuff or like comments or watch videos, it seemed like there was relationship after relationship after relationship of so many characters. They literally try to put every character on the show in a relationship. And then when every single character, every main character is in a relationship, of course, there's major drama and it becomes the focus of whatever happened. Till this day, people are still pissed that Supergirl Kara and whoever Lex Luthor's sister name is did not get in a relationship. Like fans are still pissed to that day on Twitter and stuff. And it's just kind of like, that's what you're taking away from this show? The show has been on for like 7 years and it did so much. And the only thing you're focused on is their relationship and how they didn't get together in the end. And that's because the show focused too much on the relationship. I tried to watch The Flash Armageddon. I tried, I just couldn't. But then one episode I actually did. And I was so confused. I think it was like the 4th episode. Because I stopped watching The Flash about probably like in the 4th season, the beginning of the 4th season. And I'm just kind of like, who is this one black lady on the show? Who's this one black guy on the show? Who's that white looking girl on the show? Like, who are these people? And what happened to Cisco? And apparently now both Frost and Caitlin are separate now. I'm just like, wow, things have really changed since I stopped watching the show. And then the woman, the black lady on the show, I think that's Joe's wife. And I'm just kind of like, why is she on the team? That don't make no sense. Like, why is Joe's wife on Team Flash? Why is she why? I don't understand it. Like, I really don't. Like, other than her being his husband, and that's another love drama thing, why is she on the team? I still don't know who the black guy and the white girl are, but apparently they having some love issues too that took up the majority of like the episode. And from what I've heard from fans, this is an alternate reality, and that whole love thing ain't gonna matter because in the past, I think it's like non-existent or whatever, or these characters don't even exist. And so it's kind of like, why did that one episode focus on their love drama, and why did Alex get herself in the middle of their love drama when she don't know nothing about their love drama? Because this show is just so fluffy and foo-foo. Now let's get into the foo-foo talk. One of the problems that I stated in my old Flash video is that they talk so fluffy and foo-foo. Like everything's about feelings and woe is me and you were destined to do this. When I watched those Netflix superhero shows, their dialogue was edgy and they got right to the point. Same thing with the HBO Max shows. They didn't do this whole, well, you know, I love you, this and that, and blah, 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 blah. When I started trying to watch The Flash Armageddon and the Atom was talking about something about his feelings, I turned it off. Because I'm tired of hearing about their feelings. Because they go too heavy dramatic with their feelings and stuff on The Flash show to the point where the dialogue just sounds so foo-foo and everything. It sounds like it feels like it's written by like a girl talking about like her feelings, like a little girl, like in preschool, like in grade school, talking about her feelings and talking about her toys and talking about how she wants to be a princess. Like that's how the talk feels like in the arrowverse and stuff. And like it's always, and then when they're there and it's too heavy dialogue, it's always about their feelings and it's always about their relationship drama, and it's always about, oh, I can't do this, but oh, my lover just gave me a pep talk, so now I can do it. And that's something that used to always happen in The Flash. He'll get his butt kicked talking about, oh, I can't do it. But then either Iris or like one of the Wells or one of his friends be like, you can do it, Barry. And they give him like an inspirational speech about like feelings and love and all this other stuff. And all of a sudden he can do it and stuff. I also remember when Cisco started getting powers, they had this one character from the comic books that they altered her powers for the show to make it more in line with his. And she could bop in from other realities and stuff. And I remember when he started getting his powers and he got introduced to her, his main focus was her and their relationship. And then it wasn't until she left or died, they started focusing more on him and other aspects of the show. Like the whole Barry changing the timeline and screwing him up and everything, and his brother being dead and all this other stuff. It's like the moment they give a character a relationship, that's all they write after that until that relationship person dies or leaves the show. So I realized a lot of the problems I had with like the Arrowverse in a whole had to do with like relationships. That was the main focal point in everything. The reason why they don't hide their identities, the foo-foo talk, so many people being on the team, so many people having powers, how like the shows don't focus on what it's supposed to focus on, the actual central hero and stuff. And it's mainly because of the love interest and everything. It's like they're too focused on making this a romantic superhero drama show. And these things are categorized as superhero dramas. They need to just call it a romance drama and everything. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.